watching as Krishna's eating all our butter, and we're helpless to do anything. Other times, not only will he come with his friends, but he'll call groups of monkeys into our house. And he'll feed our butter. First they'll eat to their full satisfaction, and then they'll feed the monkeys to their full satisfaction. And when the monkeys are so full that they cannot eat anything anymore, and the monkeys leave with full bellies, then Krishna and his friends, they said, this butter is so useless, even the monkeys don't want it. And then they'll throw it all over our house, on the walls and on the floors. Sometimes, in order to hide it from them, we put the clay pots of our butter hanging from ropes from the ceiling. And Krishna, sometimes he'll get on the shoulders of his friends. Sometimes he'll get on top of, he'll take tables or beds or boxes and stand on top. And Krishna has a special stick with a very pointed end. And he'll get, when we put it really as high as we can put it, he'll get on the shoulders of his friends and he'll poke a hole, and all the butter will be coming down. And he'll call all the monkeys to share it with him. And Krishna, even if it's pitch dark, it seems like his jewels light up our whole house so he could see everything. Yashoda Mai, she said, oh, if you like, I'll take off his jewels. He said, no, 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 please do not take off his jewels. Because even his body, it seems to lighten up all darkness. Sometimes we catch Krishna and we say, Krishna, you are a thief. And Krishna looks at us and smiles, and he says, no, you are a thief. Everything is my property. I have come to reclaim it. When we really hide our butter very well, and Krishna doesn't find it, he makes it known to us. He will pinch our little baby children and make them cry. Or sometimes he will go into our temple room and pass urine. Now for some of you, you may be thinking, this is the absolute truth? This is God? This is Allah? This is the Lord of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? This is Narayan? This is Narasimha? This is Shiva? The absolute truth, ultimately, the exchanges of love with his devotees are his sweetest enjoyment. And they give the sweetest enjoyment to his devotees. I like to give this analogy. You may think it seems like a little ordinary boy passing urine on someone's floor when they're angry with them. But here it is, over 5,000 years later, we're still talking about it. How many times have you passed urine? You don't have to answer this question. Who cares? Nobody cares. But Krishna does it. Everyone is celebrating. It was another celebration. We're still celebrating. Because Krishna's all attractive. And the gopis would tell Yashoda Mai that actually Krishna not only steals our butter, but he completely steals our hearts. And we've come to you because we just uncontrollably want to share the joy of our hearts by complaining to you. And look at Krishna now. He's listening to what we're saying, and he looks like such a well-behaved little boy with little tears in his eyes, like, I didn't do that. But we know, as we're looking at him now, that although he looks so innocent, he's plotting when to come and steal our butter next. Makanchor. When our hearts become very soft and sweet like freshly churned butter, the Lord is Hari. Hari means one who steals. One who steals all the inauspiciousness away from us, and when our heart becomes sweet and soft with love, then Hari will steal our hearts forever. And bhakti is the process of churning our hearts to make it soft and sweet for Krishna's pleasure. One time Krishna was stealing butter in the house of Yashoda Mai, his mother. Jiva Goswami tells this, Kavi Karnapur tells this story, that there was a pillar with jewels in it, and Krishna saw a reflection of himself in the jewels. He was just a little tiny child. And he got scared. He thought that somebody was watching him stealing, because he was stealing in a secret place. So he looked at the reflection, and he said, my friend, he said, please don't tell my mother that I'm stealing butter. And if you don't tell her, I promise you I'll give you some. And Yashoda Mai was just in the next room watching all this. And she was smiling with so much affection. And when Krishna happened to see his mother, there was butter all over his face, there was butter all over his hands. He said, I'm not stealing butter, I'm not stealing butter. And he pointed to the reflection in the jewel. He said, he stole the butter. He said, I saw him coming and I told him, no, you should not steal my mother's butter. It's not the right thing. But even though I told him not to, he did it anyway. And now he put it on me. Yashoda Mai smiled. One time she was outside and little Krishna was inside and his hand was in the butter pot. Little baby. And Mother Yashoda came, she looked at him, and his hand was in the pot. And he said, I'm not stealing butter, I'm not stealing butter. And Yashoda Mai smiled and said, then what are you doing? She said, he said that you put these bracelets on me that have rubies, and they're so hot that they're burning my hand, that I had to put my hand in this pot to cool it off. And Yashoda Mai, she picked up little Gopal and she looked at his hand and she said, oh, it is burnt due to the bracelets. She said, I will take the bracelets off. I'll get you new bracelets. And then she kissed his hand repeatedly to make it feel nice. One time he was in one gopi's house. It was one of his aunts. In India you say auntie. And she actually caught Krishna, which is a very rare thing. And she said, I'm going to bring you to your mother, because I keep telling your mother that you're doing, all the gopis are telling, but she doesn't believe us. But now I'm going to take you, and she's going to see that there's my butter on your hands and on your face. You come with me. And little Gopal said, "I warn you." He was a very small child. "I warn you. I warn you. Don't do this to me." She said, "Come." And she brought him and she said, "Yashoda Mai, I have caught Krishna red-handed. He was stealing our butter. Look at him." And Yashoda Mai looked and then looked at the gopi and said, "I don't understand." She said, I told you, I just caught Gopal. He's right here. Don't you see? And Yashoda was looking very bewildered. And the gopi looked down, and in her hand was her own son. It wasn't Gopal. So she was really bewildered. She said, "I'm sorry, Yashoda, I'm sorry." And she took her son and said, "Let's go home, let's go home." And she was walking home with her son, completely perplexed. And then she heard a little voice, and she looked down, and Krishna was in her hand. He said, "I warned you. I told you not to do that." He said, "And I warn you, if you do it again, next time I will assume the form of your husband." So the gopis, it was like kirtan for them to complain about Krishna. Because it was with love. They were actually glorifying Krishna. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Krishna is the proprietor of everything that exists. He doesn't steal anything, but he steals our love. And actually every gopi in Vrindavan, they would only milk their cows and they would only make their butter for one purpose, with the hope and the prayer that Krishna would come to steal it and would enjoy it. This is Vrindavan. But one day, the gopas, the cowherd boys, came to complain to Yashoda Mai. They said, "Today, in a secluded place, we saw Krishna near the bank of the Yamuna eating dirt." Now, what would a mother think if she heard that her child is eating dirt? She became very much disturbed because she's very much concerned for his health. Her realization, her prema, her love was so beyond love of God. She had attained love of God in such a deep way that God Himself was allowing her to love Him like her own child with motherly affection. Which is more intimate, the love of a servant to a master, or the love a mother for a child? In Vrindavan, Krishna allows those relationships on the spiritual platform. So she took Krishna by the hand because she was afraid he would run away. And she said, "Gopal, why did you eat dirt? How will you maintain your health? How will you live if you eat dirt?" And Krishna said, "I did not eat dirt." Yashoda Mai said, "But all your friends are saying you eat dirt. And Balaram is always on your side for everything. And even he is saying you ate dirt." Krishna said, "They are not telling the truth." This very much intensified Yashoda Mai's love. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the science of prema. That how is it possible for the absolute truth to tell a lie? He's the absolute truth. But when he speaks this way, in the mood of being an innocent, ordinary little child, it increases the Vatsalya Bhav, the motherly affection of Yashoda. That Vatsalya Bhav springs from prema, from the ecstatic love that is situated forever within the hearts of the devotees. And the cause of that love within the heart of the devotees is Krishna's affection for his devotees. Therefore, Krishna is named Bhaktavatsal. It's Krishna's aspect of his deep, unlimited affection for his devotees. Of all the powers, of all the knowledge, of all the glories of God, this Bhaktavatsal, or Krishna's limitless love and willingness to reciprocate love, is the crown jewel of all the ornaments of the Absolute Truth. And Krishna said, if you don't believe me, look in my mouth. Yashoda Mai said, open your mouth, let me see. But the reality is, he did eat dirt. If she saw it, what would happen? And Krishna didn't have time to wash his mouth out or anything like that. So he did something even more inconceivable. His Yogamaya potency, his Aishwarya Shakti manifested within his little tiny mouth. A manifestation of the whole universe. Yashoda Mai looked in his little mouth and saw kind of into his stomach, and she saw all the oceans, all the mountains. She saw all living beings, the demigods. She saw Vrindavan. She saw herself looking in Krishna's mouth. She saw the personification of time, the personification of the three modes of material nature, the personification of all the different elements and energies of the whole creation. She was astounded. How big is the universe? Even the greatest scientists, with all of their measuring instruments, they cannot measure it. They cannot fathom it. And it's not that Krishna's mouth became very big. It only remained this big. This is Achintya Shakti. The whole universe, by Krishna's will, could fit within his little mouth. To understand Krishna or Bhagavan is beyond our rational, logic, intellectual capacity. But the perfection of our logical, intellectual capacity is to understand logically with our intelligence that the absolute truth is inconceivable and is beyond us. And beyond our rational logic, we enter into the realm of true transcendental faith. Krishna can put an entire banyan tree in a seed this big. Every tree that we see, the Creator has put that tree at one time in a tiny little seed. that potential. And every human being. When your mother and father came together to actually create the seed of your body, they did not have any engineering plan. They didn't even know what was happening. They knew it was happening on one level, but then this little seed comes and it starts emulsifying and it starts mixing with the other different types of little stimulating ingredients, and little eyes and little ears and little nose and heart and brain and liver and kidneys and pancreas and fingers and legs. How is it happening? What a miracle. We're seeing miracles that are inconceivable everywhere around us. And when the Supreme Sarveshwareshwar, the controller of all controllers, wants to personally manifest his opulences, we don't doubt. We simply appreciate. And we love. We love Krishna. Yashoda Maya is seeing the universe in her mouth. But she couldn't see him as God. It would disturb her love for him as a mother. So she was trying to figure it out. She was thinking, am I dreaming? I can't be dreaming because my eyes are open. Am I in illusion? Are the demigods putting me in some sort of illusion? No. I'm just an insignificant little cowherd lady. Why would the demigods waste their time putting me in illusion like this? Or maybe I'm mentally deranged. She said, no, I'm very stable in my mentality. I'm taking care of all my duties. I'm very peaceful. I'm very happy. Or maybe this is what Gargamuni meant. Because Gargamuni, who was a great, great Brahmin and Guru for many of the Yadus and the Vrishnis, and the priest for Vasudev, he actually came to perform the name-giving ceremony soon after Krishna and Balaram's birth. And at that time, along with giving him the name Krishna, the all-attractive one, he said, this child, he has appeared within this world to reestablish principles of religion and do incredible things to protect and inspire his devotees. And he comes in every age, sometimes in a white color, sometimes red, sometimes golden yellow. And now he's come in this dark form. But you should know that he is as good as Lord Narayan, the Supreme Lord. And he will do wonderful things. Yashoda Maya was thinking, maybe this is what's happening. No! Her motherly love would not accept it. She said, what does Gargamuni know about Krishna? I know about Krishna. He said he's as good as Narayan and he has all these mystical powers. But when he's hungry, he cries for me to feed him my milk. And when he's thirsty, he cries for me to feed him. The absolute truth doesn't cry. He's not hungry. And Krishna tells lies. The absolute truth doesn't lie. And when a cat meows or lightning strikes in the sky, Krishna starts to cry in great fear and jumps in my arms, and until I embrace him and kiss him, he shakes in fear. Let Gargamuni say what he wants. Let people believe what they want. But I know who Krishna is, and Krishna knows who I am. I am his mother, and he is just my loving little child. But still, she was seeing the universe in him. So in her motherly love, the only thing she could do is pray for Krishna's protection. So she prayed, "Oh, Supreme Lord Narayan, cause of all causes, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything that exists, who is always there to protect the devotees. Please, please protect my Krishna. Please bless my little Gopal." And then she became very humble. She said, "Under your illusion, Lord Narayan, I was thinking that I'm this body. And I'm thinking that Nanda Maharaj is my husband, and therefore I am the queen of all of Vrindavan. And therefore all the gopas and all the gopis and all the cows and all the calves, they are all mine. And this little boy Krishna, I'm thinking he's my son because of my illusion." She was becoming very philosophical. And Krishna was just, he closed his mouth. The universe disappeared, at least from within him. She was saying that the universe was in Krishna and Krishna was in the universe. That was her vision. And Krishna was thinking, if my mother is thinking like this, then who is going to cuddle me and embrace me and give me motherly love if she's a big philosopher like this? So by Krishna's will, with a little tiny smile, Yashoda Mai completely forgot everything she saw in his mouth and lifted him up and embraced him and fed him her milk and didn't even think about whether he ate dirt anymore. That was Krishna's way of getting around that. Shukadev Goswami explains, this is the love between Yashoda and Krishna. The three Vedas, they worship the absolute truth as Yajna Purusha, the supreme recipient of all offerings of sacrifice. In the Upanishads, he is worshipped as Purusha. In the Yoga Sutras, he is worshipped as Paramatma. In the Pancharatras, he is worshipped as Bhagavan. But that same Supreme has taken the form of a little child who is loved as the son of Yashoda. What is her good fortune? This brings us to the day of Diwali. It was early morning, and Yashoda Mai, she saw that all the other gopas and gopis were very busy that day because the next day is Indra Puja. It's a big annual festival of worshipping Indra, which later became Govardhan Puja. And it was also Diwali, the new year, so people were very busy. So Yashoda Mai woke up quite early that day, and she looked at the little face of baby Krishna. He was sound asleep. His eyes were closed like two beautiful, effulgent blue lotuses. And she just gazed upon him with such affection. And she wanted to churn special butter from the dahi just for Krishna. And she wanted to do it before he woke up. And as she was churning, she was thinking that Krishna goes to the house of so many other gopis to steal their butter. If I make this butter myself, with all my love, then he'll be so satisfied. He'll be happy to stay at home. Nanda Maharaj had 900,000 cows. And Yashoda Mai took the best 100 cows and gave them very, very special grasses that she personally grew. They were very nutritious, very sweet, very fragrant. The grass had the quality of lotus flowers. And of them there were 10 cows, and then the best of the cows. She would use that. And that milk and that butter was so fragrant. It was so tasteful, so nourishing. This was her love for Krishna, and she was churning. And as she was churning, she was remembering the pastimes of Gopal and singing about them. She was having kirtan. And the bells around her waist and the bells that were on her bracelets were all chiming, keeping a beautiful rhythm like musical instruments. And as she was pulling the rope, and it was making the dahi move, like it was making the sounds of a mridanga drum. And this way, it was a kirtan. With the instrumentation of her devotional movements, she was singing the glories of Krishna. And as she was remembering Krishna, her heart was overflowing with love. And as her heart was overflowing with love, it was inducing that love to come through her breast as milk. That milk was the nectar of her prem, her bhav. And Krishna, laying sleeping, as her love was coming, it woke Krishna up, and he was thirsty for that love. So he got up, and he heard the singing of his holy names and glories and pastimes, and came running as fast as he could little run, and came right up to the churning station of Yashoda Mai, and with one hand he held the wooden rod and looked at her and said, "Surrender, no more churning. I'm thirsty for your milk." But he did it with such sweetness. Yashoda Mai looked at him. Her heart melted. Krishna climbed up onto her lap, and she embraced him and began to feed him. As she was feeding him, she was looking at his lovely moon-like face with lotus eyes and lips beaming like bimba fruits and his nose like a little freshly blossomed sesame flower. And she saw little teeth growing there, and she was just smiling upon him. Now, in the spiritual world, there's no limit to love. Even though Krishna's a little baby, he could drink tens and millions of gallons of Mother Yashoda's milk. Because it's not milk, it's love. And he has an unlimited capacity to receive love. And also, a devotee, Krishna has an unlimited capacity to inspire and to increase our love. So that means Krishna could drink forever, and Yashoda Mai, she has an unlimited supply of milk for Krishna to drink. And the pleasure between them was ever increasing. It wasn't a physical pleasure. It was a heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul pleasure of the love, which was manifesting on every level. There was milk, that Padma Ganda lotus milk that I was talking about. There was a little pot, and she was preparing something for Krishna with that. It began to boil over. According to some of our acharyas, it is explained the reason it boiled over is because the milk is conscious. Everything in the spiritual world is fully conscious. And the milk was thinking, my only existence is for Krishna to enjoy me. And now he's enjoying with Yashoda Mai, and that's going to go on forever. So what is the use of my existence? I will enter fire. And he jumped out. But when Yashoda Mai saw, for Krishna's pleasure, she put little Krishna down and ran. And as soon as the milk saw that she was coming, he was thinking, why am I thinking so self-conscious like this? Of course Yashoda Mai will share Krishna with everyone. Of course Krishna will satisfy everyone's desire. So all the milk that fell jumped back in the pot. And Yashoda Mai took it off the fire. When Krishna was gone, he wanted to have a beautiful pastime to increase the Leela with his mother, but he also wanted to attract the whole world for all time to come with this most sweet Leela. Krishna was thinking, why did my mother leave me for anything else? And he picked up a stone that was used for grinding spices, and he broke the clay pot where the butter was being churned, and it started dripping everywhere. And then Krishna, he went to a little storage room, and he opened it up, and he locked it from inside, and he started stealing butter from there. And then he went to another place, and there was a wooden grinding mortar. Krishna climbed on top of it, and there was a clay pot of butter hanging from ropes from the ceiling. And he reached into it and ate it. And then he called his friends and started feeding his friends. And then he called the Vrindavan monkeys and was feeding the monkeys. Meanwhile, Yashoda Mai came back and she saw the pot was broken. And she saw little tiny butter footprints of Gopal. And she followed the footprints. And being a mother, she wanted to teach Krishna that he shouldn't be so restless because it wasn't safe. Because parents' duty is it's their responsibility to teach their children morality and ethics and proper behavior so that they could have a prosperous life in the future. That was Yashoda Mai's feeling. So she picked up a little thin stick just to scare Krishna. And she was following the butter footprints. And she came into this little courtyard, and there she saw Krishna. He was feeding monkeys butter, and he was eating butter. And he looked so nervous. He kept looking in all directions to make sure his mother wasn't coming. But the monkey saw her with the stick. And she very, very softly walked up to him. And suddenly, the monkey started jumping outside and jumping out the windows and going up into the trees, and Krishna turned around and his mother was right there. He jumped off the grinding mortar and ran away. Yashodamai ran after him. Krishna ran and she ran and he ran and she ran. According to the Upanishads, the absolute truth can never be caught by anyone. Either the incredible discrimination and knowledge developed by jnanis, or the incredible sense control, mind control, or mystic siddhis of yogis. Who could catch the absolute truth? But Yashodamai, she was running after him. And as she was running, flowers, malati flowers, were falling from her hair. Jiva Goswami tells that those malati flowers were falling from their hair. The flowers, their personal feeling was that Krishna, Parabrahman, is running away from Yashoda. This is the power of her love. How great she is! I shouldn't be on her head. I should be serving her feet. So they jumped off toward her feet. Krishna allowed himself to be caught by the hand by Yashoda. Satyavrat Muni in the Damodarastakam we sing each night during this month of Damodar is offering beautiful prayers describing such a visualization of this pastime. Krishna's breathing very fast. His limbs are trembling. He's crying. He's crying, and the mascara, the kajal that's around his eyes is mixing with his tears and making beautiful streaks across his face. And his beautiful shining red lips are quivering in fear of Mother Yashoda. And Krishna said, please, put down that stick. And Yashodamai threw the stick away. And she said, Gopal, why are you such a thief? And little Gopal, he was trembling. He said, I didn't get this from my father's side of the family. I got this from your side of the family. Yashodamai said, because of your association with monkeys, you have developed the same nature as a monkey. And Krishna was very much afraid. He said, if you think I'm a monkey, then I will go and live in the forest with the monkeys. Now when he said that, that really made Yashodamai afraid that he might just do that. He's so restless. Today's Diwali, tomorrow's Indra Puja. I have so many responsibilities around the house. I'm all alone now. What will I do to protect my child? Who knows what he may do? He's so restless today. I will stay close by, but just to protect him, I will tie him up. Meanwhile, little Gopal, he was saying to his mother, I promise I won't do it again, just let me go.